Hey guys, what's going on? Jay Hardman here for GARetro.com, bringing you guys a review, and this time thought I'd go a little bit old school. Not too old school, kinda old school, fairly old school. Went back in the Wayback Machine to 1988. Thought I would review for you guys some Biomiracle Bokutte Upa. Check it out. Roll that intro. So in order to review the game, you first have to buy it, right? So where else do you go to buy stuff from 1988? Your local Radio Shack. Alright, so we got the game here, and let's just let's boot it up. Biomiracle Bokutte Upa was developed by Konami and was first released in 1988 for the Famicom Disk System. It stars Upa, the baby prince of a magical kingdom who, as kids tend to do, accidentally lets loose an evil goat demon that steals the life force from all the adults and kidnaps all the children. Now the fate of the entire kingdom rests with Upa and his magic rattle, which was given to him by fairies that originated from the same place as the goat demon. Yeah, it's that good. The gameplay of Upa can best be described as a delightful combination of simplicity and challenge. Upa himself is rather simple to control. You can move, jump, and attack, all the standard platformer actions, although jumping on enemies will result in Upa taking damage. What makes the game a little more complex is the magic rattle that Upa uses to attack with. When attacked with the rattle, monsters will inflate like balloons and begin to float away. Upa can then utilize these puffed up enemies in two different ways. One way is as platforms. Upa can jump on top of the enemies that have already been inflated and ride them for a short amount of time. Eventually though, the enemies will explode, so you can't ride on them forever. The second way is to use them as projectiles. When Upa makes contact with an inflated enemy, the enemy will shoot out in the direction that it was hit. This is the complex part of the game, because making enemies go in the way that you want them to go is not very easy. Sure, making them go up, left, or right is pretty easy, but if you want to send those enemies in a diagonal, it's going to take a bit of skill and practice. What makes it even harder is that when enemies come into contact with certain parts of the world, like the platforms that you can jump on, they'll actually bounce back. It's actually a pretty cool mechanic, but what usually ends up happening more often than not is that you hit the enemy with your rattle, which makes it inflate, and then you're still holding forward to move, so the enemy shoots out in front, hits a small platform, and then bounces back, and Upa gets a face full of monster. As far as enemies goes, they vary in appearance, but really only differ in the way that they move. There are some that just go back and forth, while others fly across the screen in different patterns. In the later levels, there are some enemies that launch projectiles at you, and there's some particularly jerkish fireballs that can't be inflated, and you get hurt if you touch them. Oh, and these Babam scumbags? Well, they just plain suck. Bosses also vary in appearance a bit, from pigs to snakes to walruses and top hats and seahorses, and along with the eventual showdown with the game's final boss, a demon goat. All fights require you to inflate enemies and then hit them back into the boss. Timing and actually being able to send the enemies in the direction that you want them to is the key to fighting these bosses. What's really cool about this game is the level design. The levels in the game have all of the classic characteristics of a platformer. You would have what you would call a normal level, which are just straightforward levels filled with simple jump puzzles. But as you continue on into the game, you come across other different kinds of levels, such as a water level, an ice level, sticky popsicle level, upside down baby inside of a computer level, baby eating a cake non-stop level, and a level completely dedicated to different kinds of stationery. And blue? I guess? Okay. You know what? You do you, game. You do you. The art style in this game is fairly unique. As you've seen, the levels are interesting to say the least, and the enemies are pretty well done. You get a wide range of sprites that include creatures like crabs, penguins, elephants, flying bags, among others. As far as music goes, your options aren't that varied. There's really only two major themes that play, this basic level theme that you're hearing right now, and a boss theme, which I'll go ahead and play for you too. Wait a second. Does that sound familiar to you? I really only had one problem with this game. There are certain parts of the game that are very inconsistent. As I said before, it's hard to aim enemies when trying to use them as projectiles, and even if you think you hit them on a diagonal, they hardly ever go that way. But one of the big things are the platforms that are in the game. Some of them are colored red, meaning that there's a 50-50 chance that they will fall. And even if they are the kind that fall, it kind of varies on when they'll fall. It could be as soon as you step on them, or whenever the game feels like it. Take a look at these cherry things. The first time I was able to stand on the thing, and then later, after I had died and gone through the level again, it fell right away. This actually happened several times throughout the levels. But what's weird is it doesn't happen with any of the other kind of jumping stuff. Like these balloons that pop, so you kind of have to make the leap of faith when jumping to the next one, and these cool disappearing and reappearing blocks. Wait a second. This is a Dreamcast controller. I haven't plugged in. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some final results. Game finished. Technically, no. But if you're a generous person, yes. I was actually completing the last stages, realized that I wasn't frapsing, so I wasn't getting any of the footage up to the final boss, and so I just kind of quit playing. Never really did any save states or anything like that, so yeah. Technically, well, it's a hard no, but like I said, if you're generous, we can say yes, okay. Time played, between capturing footage, actually playing through the game, maybe around 3 or 4 hours or so, maybe a little more when you factor in getting through all the stages and stuff like that, and then just capturing the footage that added some time onto it. Replayability. There are 2 difficulty levels. There's easy and normal. And how much damage you take depends on which difficulty you're at. So I suppose if you played it first through easy and then wanted a challenge, you could play it on normal. But other than that, unless you're doing like speed runs or something like that, I wouldn't really say there's a whole lot of replayability to the game. Favorite feature, I liked that you could inflate enemies and then use them as weapons. I thought that was something you don't really see a whole lot of for games around that time. I thought it was pretty cool. I like that. My least favorite feature, gotta be those platforms, man. Sometimes they fall, sometimes they wouldn't. Sometimes you don't know which platforms are going to fall, even if they look like they're going to fall. It's just, no, didn't like that. Not at all. Completion percentage, what, like 90, 95, 96, 97? Somewhere in there, since I didn't technically beat it. Air quotes all over that. Multiplayer, none that I saw. I hooked up a second controller just to see, and I couldn't really get it to access anything, so unless it was something with the version that I was playing, because they do have it for a bunch of different versions. There's for the Famicom, there's for the Wii U, or just Wii Store virtual download. You can pick it up for there, but I didn't see any multiplayer. So that's pretty much it. Overall, it was a great game. I liked it a lot. It was fun to play. It was kind of refreshing to go back to an old school platformer and have fun while playing it. I liked it a lot. So yeah, that's the review for Biomiracle Bokutte Upa. I hope I'm saying that right. I only took one semester of Japanese, so I probably got that wrong, so I'm sorry if I did. But anyway, be sure to check out GARetro.com for more reviews, video game news, stuff like that. Fantastical, whimsical land? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not Manland. That was terrible, wasn't it? Anyway, I'm just gonna go. You guys have a good night. Thanks.